The floor beneath you is covered in broken glass. How can you run freely across it? You would hesitate. You would bleed. Every step would remind you of the pain still lying there. The same is true of your mind. Your past remains broken and scattered. How can your present be whole? How can your future be free? Before you move forward, you must clean. This is not a punishment. This is not weakness. This is discipline. To look at what has been honestly. To observe, not judge. Where the pain still lives. Where the memory still grips you. And then to begin the work of letting go, of clearing, of freeing yourself. Without this cleaning, you may build new habits, but they rest on a cracked foundation. You may chase strength, but it is built on emotional tension. You may pursue peace, but your mind will remain noisy. To be truly strong, you must be clean inside. Many people believe that to let go of the past is to forget it. That is not correct. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It means removing the past's control over your current behavior. It means that when you speak, you are speaking from this moment, not from fear learned years ago. When you act, you are responding to what is, not reacting to what was. This requires awareness, deep awareness. To clean your inner world, you must first see it. You must become still enough to notice your patterns. You must become honest enough to say, this emotion I carry, it is old. This fear I have, it was planted long ago. This anger, it is not about now. This awareness is a type of meditation, a type of strength, facing your own mind instead of running from it. Yes, there will be discomfort. Cleaning is rarely comfortable. But discomfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Avoidance creates shadows, and shadows grow when we do not look. Mental toughness is not just discipline in action. It is clarity in thought. It is peace within chaos. It is the ability to move forward without dragging 10 invisible chains behind you. If you want that kind of power, you must earn it by releasing the weight. Some people carry memories like armor. They say, pain made me strong. That is only partially true. Pain can teach. But if pain becomes identity, then strength becomes illusion. You are not your pain. You are the one who survived it. And now you must decide, do you want to continue dragging it, or will you clean it from your path? Your journey will test you. Your vision will demand sacrifices. And if your inner world is cluttered with regret, with anger, with unprocessed loss, you will hesitate. You will sabotage yourself. You will return to old cycles without even knowing why. So make this part of your training, inner cleaning. Sit with yourself, what you've buried. Write. Reflect. Breathe into the discomfort. And then let it pass, like clouds in the sky. You do not need to hold every storm that once rained on you. You cannot move with speed if your hands are full of the past. You cannot rise if your mind is chained to what was. And you cannot build a future with power if you're still questioning your worth based on old wounds. So begin. Clean your past, not because it was wrong, but because you are ready to grow beyond it. Clean your past, not to erase what happened, but to clear the space for what can happen. Clean your past, not for anyone else, but because you are finally ready to move forward. The floor beneath you is covered in broken glass. You will not walk freely. You will walk slowly, carefully. Every step becomes painful. And if you are not careful, you will bleed. Is how many people live? Not physically, but mentally. Their inner path is full of old wounds, shattered moments, regrets they never resolved. So even when they try to move forward, it hurts. They hesitate, stop, not because they cannot walk, but because they never cleared the path. This is the reason why cleaning your past is necessary, not optional, not spiritual decoration, necessary. Disciplined life is not only one of physical action or visible control. A disciplined life begins inside. And to be truly disciplined, you must be clear. You must be unburdened. You must carry only what serves your path forward, not what anchors you to the past. Many people hold tightly to their history. They repeat the same stories over and over. This happened to me. This person hurt me. I failed before. I was abandoned. I was overlooked. They think they are simply remembering, but they are doing something more dangerous. They are repeating the past in the present. They are reliving it each day and calling it truth. But is it truth? Or is it just memory? A past event can teach. A memory can remind. But when it begins to limit, to define, to imprison, then it becomes a weight. And a true practitioner of the path cannot carry excess weight, not in the mind, not in the heart. The question is not whether something happened. The question is whether you are still letting it shape how you move, how you speak, how you react today. That is the difference between awareness and attachment. You can be aware of your past without being trapped by it. There is no strength in denial, not about pretending it never hurt. It is about having the courage to face it and then clean it. The emotional dust, the mental confusion, the silent anger, fear that lives in the background of your decisions. These are things to observe, to work with, not to ignore. Cleaning your past is like preparing a room for meditation. If the space is full of clutter, noise, distractions, how can you be still? How can you find peace? You must first clear the space, remove what does not belong, create stillness, and only then can clarity arise. Your mind is no different. Clarity is the root of strength. It is not a loud strength. It is not showy. It is the kind of strength that cannot be shaken because it is not built on reactions. It is built on awareness, and awareness is born from quiet observation, not judgment, but honest looking. So how do you clean the past? You begin by slowing down, by creating space. You sit with yourself, not the outer self, but the inner one. You breathe, you feel, you allow the discomfort to rise. You do not run from it, you do not label it, you witness it, you listen. Then you begin to understand, pain I've been carrying. It is old. This anger, it belongs to a younger version of me. This fear, it came from a place of confusion. I no longer need it. Letting go is not forgetting. Releasing the grip, it is choosing not to let yesterday control the decisions of today. It is allowing the past to rest in the past, where it belongs. Some will say, but I cannot forget. Good. You are not meant to forget. You are meant to integrate, to learn, to grow, but not to be haunted. So you clean, not once, but often. Like training the body, cleaning the mind must be done with consistency, care, with commitment. Only then can you move freely. Only then can your actions reflect your current wisdom, not your former wounds. Freedom begins when the past no longer dictates the present. And the first step toward that freedom is this: clean your path, clean your mind, clean your past, not for anyone else, but for the journey ahead. Many believe that letting go of the past means forgetting what happened. But to forget is not the goal. To let go is to release the grip, to remember without becoming trapped, see clearly without becoming overwhelmed. The past is part of you, but it is not all of you. If you mistake your past for your identity, then you lock yourself in a version of yourself that no longer exists. What happened may not have been your choice, but continuing to carry it is. Strength is not about holding everything in. It is not about pushing pain deeper into the mind and pretending it has disappeared. True strength is the ability to turn inward with patience and precision, to observe where the pain lies, to face it with stillness, not force, and then slowly to remove the residue, like dirt from a blade, carefully cleaned, not ignored. This is the training, not just movement of the body, but purification of the mind. A clean mind is a powerful mind. A mind that is not clouded by judgment, bitterness, or fear can see clearly, respond wisely, and act without hesitation. If you want that clarity, you must make space for it. And you cannot do that if your inner world is crowded with what should have been let go long ago. Some people build their entire personality around the pain they've experienced, speak as if they are still living in the moment it happened. They respond to new situations with old emotions. They avoid challenges not because the challenge is too great, but because their mind is still tied to an old failure, an old shame. This is not living. This is repeating. Life is a forward movement. But pain that is not understood, not cleaned, becomes a loop. You walk in circles, thinking you are progressing, but you are only recreating the same experience with new faces and different settings. Letting go is not weakness. It is the ultimate discipline. It requires you to stand in front of your past without hiding. It asks for truth. It demands stillness. And most of all, it requires self-honesty. You must be willing to ask yourself, why do I continue to hold this pain? What part of me benefits from it? Am I afraid of who I would be without it? Sometimes, holding on gives us a false sense of identity. We say, pain made me who I am. But strength does not come from pain itself. Strength comes from transformation. The fire does not make the sword. The shaping, the cooling, the refining, that is what gives the blade its form. Pain may begin the journey, but discipline and understanding must finish it. When you begin the process of inner cleaning, you must understand that emotions may return, thoughts will rise, memories may resurface. This is not failure. This is part of the process. Just as a room becomes dusty over time, the mind must be cleaned again and again. Meditation is not a one-time solution. Reflection is not a single act. These are practices. They become part of your way of life. To move forward, you must decide what you are willing to leave behind. And sometimes you must forgive, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is a form of release. It does not erase the past, simply removes its weight from your shoulders. If you do not clean, the weight grows heavier. Slowly, quietly, it builds without warning. And one day when you try to run forward, you will wonder why your body feels so tired, why your spirit feels stuck. You will not realize that you are carrying not one day of struggle, but 10 years of unresolved emotion. That is why this work is urgent, not someday, now. Freedom is not found in distant places. It begins within. It begins when the chains of the past no longer rattle in your mind. It begins when your breath is no longer tight from old wounds. Begins when your eyes are no longer clouded by old images. So take the time, do the work, sit with yourself, clean with care. And when the mind is clear, when the spirit is light, every step forward becomes powerful, because now you are finally walking without dragging the past behind you. Mental toughness is often misunderstood. Not about gritting your teeth and suppressing your feelings. It is not about pretending nothing affects you. True mental toughness is quiet. It is rooted in clarity. It does not come from pushing pain away, but from understanding where it lives and why it exists. A strong mind is not a closed one. It is an open one that has been cleansed of confusion, illusions, and emotional baggage. And to reach that level of strength, you must be willing to clean. Emotional clarity is not a luxury. It is a necessity. If you cannot see the source of your reactions, then your actions will be scattered. You may look disciplined on the surface, but inside you are at war. You may appear calm, but your decisions are driven by old wounds and hidden fears. You may even succeed in the eyes of the world, but inside you feel empty. Because the victories you collect mean nothing if they are only attempts to prove something to the past. When you begin to clean your inner world, you realize that many of your habits, your thoughts, even your goals are not truly yours. They were born from experiences that were never fully processed. A rejection that made you chase approval, A failure that made you fear trying. A betrayal that made you stop trusting. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of being human. If you don't bring them into the light, they control you from the shadows. This is why internal work is essential. It is not enough to control the body if the mind is untrained. And it is not enough to train the mind if the heart is still heavy. When your emotions are unresolved, they leak into everything. Into your words, your choices, your relationships. You may think you are moving forward, but you are still reacting. You are not choosing from freedom. You are responding from old programming. So you must stop and look inside. Not to punish yourself, not to relieve pain, but to recognize what is still active. A disciplined mind is like a clear lake. When the surface is calm, you can see the bottom. You understand what lies beneath. The surface is stirred with turmoil, you see only distortion. The first step to that calm surface is cleaning, not through avoidance, but through observation. Many resist this process because it is uncomfortable. But discomfort is not something to fear. It is the beginning of transformation. When you sit with the feelings you used to run from, you begin to reclaim your power. You begin to realize that these emotions are not enemies, they are messengers. They are showing you where you still need healing. They are revealing where your strength is still growing. If you avoid these messages, you remain stuck. If you confront them with awareness, you grow. And growth is not sudden. It happens quietly in the space between reaction and reflection. In the moments when you choose not to respond with old pain, but to pause, breathe, and act from a deeper place. You may ask, what does cleaning look like in practice? Time spent alone, not in loneliness, but in stillness. It is writing down what weighs on you. It is speaking your truth, not for sympathy, but for clarity. It is meditating, not to escape, but to observe. Is removing distractions so you can finally hear your own mind without interruption. And above all, it is patience, because deep cleaning does not happen overnight. It takes time, discipline, honesty, practice. There are no shortcuts. You cannot fake inner peace. You cannot pretend your past is resolved if it still controls your choices. The more you avoid, the more it builds. The more you face, the more you free. You are not here just to repeat your story. You are here to evolve, and evolution requires release. You cannot grow into your future while gripping your past. You must open your hands. You must be willing to let go, not because the past was meaningless, but because the future deserves your full attention. Mental toughness is not born from struggle alone. It is forged through clarity, through stillness, through the courage to clean what others avoid. And when you do this, you will find a peace that no failure, no memory, no fear can shake. This is the true power. Quiet, pure, free from weight, free to move forward. Letting go of the past is not forgetting what happened. It is not pretending that certain moments didn't shape you. About reaching the place where those moments no longer control your direction, no longer write your script. It is about learning to live from the present moment, not as an escape, but as the only place from which true power can emerge. The past can inform you, but it should never define you. Often, people say, I am this way because of what I went through. But if you look closer, you will see that it is not the event itself that shaped them. It is their interpretation of it, their reaction to it, and their choice to carry it forward long after the moment has passed. You can go through a storm and still come out clean. You can be struck down and still rise free. The key is whether you choose to carry what happened or to extract the lesson and leave the pain. Carrying the past is like carrying stones in your robe. One by one, they weigh you down. And at some point, you start to believe the heaviness is just part of who you are. But it's not something you are carrying. And what is carried can be released. if you are willing. But release does not begin by force. It begins by awareness. The discipline of presence is to sit with your inner world and ask yourself, what am I holding on to? What pain have I not yet processed? What memory do I revisit in silence when no one is watching? And more importantly, why? Most people never ask. They keep walking, hoping that time alone will dissolve the pain. But time does not heal what you refuse to face. Time only covers it like dust on a mirror. The reflection is still distorted until you wipe it clean. And that cleaning requires courage, not strength in the way most people think. Grit, endurance, pride. No, this strength is quieter. The courage to be still, to see, to feel, and not run away. True healing begins when you stop trying to fix the surface and start understanding the root. Why do you react this way? Your heart close in certain moments? Why do certain words or faces or silences trigger you? There is something there, something that has not yet been dissolved, and you cannot dissolve what you do not first acknowledge. So instead of filling your life with distractions, with constant movement, dare to be still. Dare to slow down enough to feel your inner world. To listen to it, like a master listens to the breath, not to control it, but to become one with it. Listen to your emotional breath. Listen to your mental breath. Listen to what you've buried. And then, little by little, begin to let go. Not by force, but by clarity. When you understand the true source of your pain, you will no longer need to defend it. You will no longer need to retell it. You will begin to outgrow it. Because you finally see it served its purpose, but it does not belong with you anymore. This is the freedom people seek in external things. Achievement, recognition, even control. But none of that brings peace if the inner world is chaotic. Inner order brings peace. And order begins with cleanliness, a clean mind, a clean heart, a clean intention. When you are clean inside, actions flow from stillness. Your strength becomes gentle. Your presence becomes calming. Not because life is easy, but because you are no longer at war with what has already passed. You cannot change the past, but you can stop it from changing you. You can stop repeating it. You can stop letting it filter your decisions, shape your relationships, cloud your joy. But only if you clean. So begin. Begin not by forgetting, but by accepting. Not by denying, but by understanding. Not by reacting, but by breathing. Make space. Remove what is no longer true. Keep only what serves your highest path. You will see beneath the dust, beneath the old stories and wounds, there is something still untouched. Something whole. Something waiting. That is you. And that is who you were always meant to become. You want to move forward in life, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You must be willing to look backward, not to live there, but to understand what is still holding you. Your past, if left unexamined, becomes a weight you carry into every room, every relationship, every opportunity. But when you face it, clean it, and release it, same past becomes the ground beneath your wisdom. It becomes not a prison, but a teacher. Not a wound, but a scar. A reminder that healing is possible and that growth is a choice. This journey is not easy, is not fast. It does not happen in a single day or in a single meditation. But it is worth it, and it begins with a single decision to stop running from yourself, to stop hiding behind distraction, stop living only on the surface, and instead to sit with yourself, to listen, to feel, to observe. You may feel resistance. That is natural. The mind has grown used to its patterns. Discipline is not about comfort. Discipline is choosing the path of truth even when it is difficult. And the truth is, your life is waiting for you. Your potential, your clarity, your inner peace, they are not in the future. They are underneath the layers of what you have not yet cleaned. If you do not do this work, no matter what you build outside, you will feel unrest inside. The noise is not out there. It is in here. And until you become still, until you begin to clear what you've buried, you will not hear the guidance of your own life. You will move fast, but in circles. You will speak often, but without depth. You will appear strong, but feel tired, and you will wonder why. But when you clean, everything changes. Your breath deepens. Your decisions simplify. Your words carry weight. Your presence softens. You stop needing to prove anything. You stop chasing healing from others. Because you have become the source. You have become the still point in a world that moves endlessly. Do not wait for life to slow down. It will not. Do not wait for the past to disappear. It will not. But you can change your relationship to both. You can learn to live now, not tied to yesterday and not fearful of tomorrow. You can learn to walk lightly, speak truthfully, and live with awareness. And that begins when you stop carrying what is no longer part of who you are becoming. This is not a grand performance. This is quiet mastery. To be at peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer controlled by what is not. To be free, not because you ran away, but because you cleaned the path you walk on. That is the discipline. That is the practice. And that is the power. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you are willing to begin. Willing to pause. Willing to breathe. Willing to listen to your own heart, even if it shakes. Then you are already walking the path. No one can clean your past for you. No one can carry your mind into stillness. That is your work. That is your responsibility. And when you embrace it fully, presence and patience, you will find something more valuable than motivation. You will find clarity. You will find peace. So start now, not because someone tells you to, but because your future is too important to be shaped by the dust of your past. Sit, reflect, clean, then rise and walk forward, not as a person shaped by pain, but as one who has mastered it.